We're going to go ahead and get started with the evening's festivities here. We had a great treat this afternoon. We were able to partner with the USCA to bring the hottest trainer in the United States here tonight, Ronnie Burke. He came in and gave a great speech this afternoon. If you weren't able to make it, we did videotape it, and it will be put up on YouTube. Hopefully the audio is of good quality, but it was a great speech, and we invited Ronnie up here tonight. We appreciate him coming, and he's going to give us a few remarks. So without any further ado, Mr. Ron Burke.
Yeah, okay. For everybody that was here earlier, I'm Ronnie Burke. Okay, thanks. They let me talk. I was going to say they let me talk for a half hour last time before they said closer. They were like, yeah, whatever. I'm the trainer for Burke Racing and part owner of that. I race at the Meadows. That's where I grew up. Now I race all over the country. We grew up, basically we were a one-horse stable, Embassy Omega. He was the first horse we ever had and that we had on our own. We had been a trainer/owner for years. And my dad decided to, I told him earlier, he sold his car dealership and said we were going to race horses for money. And even at 12, I thought my dad's retarded. But it turned out a lot better than I had predicted, I think. So, yes? Speak up a little bit louder, please, Ronnie. Any further, I'm going to stick this down my throat. Okay. Well, they want me standing under the light, too. I got a lot of things to remember here. So,
you already know everything you need to know, don't worry.
And basically, so it's not like we came from people that would it's unbelievable to me. You guys, you do it for fun as much as money, and that's, what keeps our sport going. It's a great thing for me to see the people that still love the sport that are not doing it for slot-infused purses. And I mean, of all people, I should, embrace the slot better than anybody because it has, enabled me to feed my family and get to where I am now. But this sport is so much more than that. It's a great sport. It's interesting. It's, it takes time to learn, and that's the thing that I try to tell everybody I know that came to the sport with a father figure or their father, and they grew up in it. And we lost a generation, and that's, what scares me is as we go forward, that we need to get these people to come back. We need to make them understand our game, because if you watch the game, it's a great thing. I tell people, our racing's, to me, is way more exciting than thoroughbred racing. I just think theirs is easier understood. So, I thank you very much for having me again, and if you guys have any questions, I could do some questions, because I'm tired of talking about myself.
You said earlier that you jog for a half hour. Do you do that as a rated time? Do you just let them determine how fast?
That was part of the reason we went to a half hour, because I thought it would encourage people to do a rated time. Basically, if you tell somebody to go out and jog 8 laps, well, if you jog 8 laps as fast as you can be done in 12 minutes. If with our theory is you're going to be out there half hour, get them to the outside of the track and just, I would like to say we jog at a 4-minute clip. That's, to me, the perfect, speed, but, 4:30, 3:30, what's the difference? I mean, I just want to see them on the outside in control. I don't want to see my horses rolling around there. Very rarely do we pass people when we're jogging, and we tend to jog in groups, which is not too popular with a lot of the other horsemen.
Thank you. What do you think of the whipping rule in Indiana?
As a bettor, as a trainer, it doesn't bother me. Being honest, it doesn't bother me. As long as we're all playing under the same rules, it never does bother me. As long as Ricky can whip the same as Trace can whip, and, we'll live with it. As a person that worries about the sport, as much as they think that they don't want to see the horses chased, every major gambler I know wants to see the horses driven out. And I think that hurts the sport. I have a harder time with telling them how to drive and how to, You know, and I understand where Tim's going. Like we talked about this earlier, you know, that with the guys laying down, it gives such an advantage to the horses up front because there's more gaps and stuff. But I don't know, to me, Indiana racing, and I mean, it's great racing. The horses are outstanding there anymore. It's horrible to watch. I mean, it's just boring watching, you know, no movement, all just sitting there, you know, tossing salads coming home. It's not very appeasing to the eye. Anybody else?
How many horses do you have racing tonight?
Tonight it's easy. I only have like 10 or 11. And the horse did win. He told me, even if it didn't win, just tell him it did when you come up here. The last horse did win. We were off to a bad start. We were like struggling a little bit, but that was a horse down in class. And you know, that's another thing. It's, you know, the Meadowlands does the ABC system, and a lot of my horses are moving to Yonkers tonight. It's a big difference when you're putting them in based on earnings. You know you're in with horses that you belong with. The horse that won tonight was in the non-winners at 12,000. Last week he was racing 5 horses that are worth 250,000 apiece, and he's worth about 30. You know, and he finished 5th. You know, and that's the whole thing. I think it's one of the reasons we do well is that we have so many barns spread over the country. We move horses to where they fit. You know, we can take a horse in Indiana and move them to New Jersey after they win out of the conditions in Indiana. Indiana's the same thing. You know, if either you're there after you're like a non-winners of 5, the next class you're in the open. I mean, but the problem is that's a big step. But if you take that same horse to Chester, they have a non-winners of 6, a non-winners of 7, a non-winners of 8. Then you go to Poconos, they have a non-winners of 9 and a non-winners of 11. You can go a long way before you have to face an open horse. So, you know, classification is the greatest equalizer of all racing. You know, you just got to get your horse where it belongs. But, you know, it's different where every state you go to, and I think that's one of the reasons we have been successful.
Ronnie, how do you get from where you started to 250 horses? Because I'm sure it's not, oops, we got 250 horses.
You know, actually, it was one time, it was a plan that actually worked to perfection. There was a time when we knew the Meadows, we were going to get slots. It was coming. And we decided that we were going to go to New Jersey and build a barn in New Jersey with the idea that when the slots opened, that we could immediately pick the barn back up, bring it to the Meadows, and we would be ahead of everybody else, and we would, you know, dominate the Meadows. Well, what we realized when we were out there, that was not only could we use it as a feeder for the Meadows, that Yonkers got slots, and at that time still the Meadowlands at that point was going for great money. That was still when we were going $50,000 invites and $40,000 75 claimers, and we found out that we could have 2 barns. And then that was the, you know, the thing that, well, instead of shipping to Indiana every time, let's just start a barn there. And you're not sure that it's going to work, but it did. Every time we got another barn, and it did better. And it comes down to basically, we have the best help like we've ever had. I mean, we have people that could easily do it on their own. But, you know, I think some of them like to be a part of the team, and they like, you know, the security of the every week paycheck. So, you know, I give a lot of credit to my dad. Like, my father is, he's not afraid of anything. Like, any chance you want to take, he's like, let's go for it. You know, he's 78 years old, and we're building a restaurant now. And it's like, you know, Dad, do we really need to do this? You know, 78 years old, do you want to borrow money to? He's like, if I die, you'll pay for it. Don't worry about it.